welcome to Politics NY with Skye Behind the Curtain, where we speak with local leaders, community advocates, and people running for office about what they're passionate about to really get to know them on a human level. And right now I'm with Tony Herbert, and he's a candidate for public advocate for the city of New York. So welcome to the show, Tony.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the invitation. Thank you.
Yeah, so tell everyone a little bit about yourself for people who don't know you.
Well, I'm John Q. Public, quite frankly, who had the opportunity after having worked as a youth in my community for a lot of years to get a job to work in government. My first job was working for a city council member who since retired, and may she rest in peace. That was Council Member Priscilla Wooten, who represented the East New York area for more than 20 years. Having worked for her and then going to work for Congressman Ed Towns, and then subsequently going to work for the New York State Senate. So I've had the experience of working on federal, state, and city government, and having used that experience to come out and do exactly what I do every single day, which naturally, propelled me into running for office to be the next New York City Public Advocate. Yeah,
so you say you have an advocacy organization.
Yes, I have an organization called Advocates Without Borders, which basically is a network of organizations and individuals who basically have the same kind of experience and background, where we come together to see what we can do to make those changes in our community, irrespective of the fact that we have elected officials who basically are clueless. So it is our position to utilize our experiences and government experience, community experience, and coupled with that, to go out and do what's necessary to be able to be as helpful as possible to folks who are just like us, John and Jane Q. Public.
Mm-hmm. Now, Tony, I connected with you on Twitter because there was a thread going on talking about how Jumaane Williams, the current public advocate, is rumored to be running for governor, and people were, responding and shouting your name and supporting you because they were saying that you're a man of the community, while Jumaane should be focusing on this re-election, and maybe he has his eyes set somewhere else.
Well, I think more than just the re-election, he should be focusing on the job of the public advocate, which is the seat that he has. And it is true, he has visions of grandeur to be the next governor of the state of New York. Albeit that I praise anybody that wants to go and represent. First and foremost, you got to be a damn good public advocate, first and foremost, in order to be a governor. Mm-hmm. And if you're not out here doing the billing of the people, then why even think about running for any office at this point? And I got to take dabs. If I thought that he was doing a good job, I wouldn't be running against him. I did run against him in the primary and got, garnered 174,000 votes, where people actively sought my name because they wanted to see me in that seat. It wasn't like, oh, let's just vote for this guy. They know that I have a history, and I do have a bit of a past of helping people, get jobs done. 5,000 people I've helped personally in my tenure working in government and also in my private organization, that they know that I know what needs to be done to be able to be helpful. So doing and being the public advocate is something I can do in my sleep. Jumaane needs to wake up, and his vision of being the next governor, go ahead and do that, but just get out of the way, because our folks need a voice, and they need somebody that's not going to go along with the status quo and politicize them. Public advocate should be nonpartisan. It should be a nonpartisan position where you don't play politics. You cater to any and everybody, irrespective of whatever seat they hold. If they're Republican, if they're Democrat, if they work in families, irrespective of all that, you're supposed to do the job and help the people and be the public advocate. And that's what public means.
Yeah, and I just had a similar conversation with some candidates who are running for district attorney who sort of had the same mindset that it really shouldn't be a partisan position because you're supposed to be the prosecutor for the municipality. So this is sort of similar. You're the public advocate. It doesn't matter what party you're a member of. You just need to do the job and represent the public.
Yeah, and that's where people are misconstruing what their position is. Public advocate is a very important voice in our city. It holds some very key positions and can make key appointments to some of the various commissions that exist out here, i.e. the pension board. We're talking about what we're having problems now with folks who are retiring and they're having issues with their pension. The public advocate has a seat on that board. At NYC, the ability to be able to communicate messages on what is happening in our city. The public advocate is the chief public voice of information for the city of New York. And without using all the technical terms, I'm just trying to keep it as layman as possible, because I don't want people to get lost in the fact that, yes, the public advocate is the chief cheerleader and should be out front on a lot of these issues, particularly calling our mayor out spending $850 million on a program called Thrive NYC, where we have no clue where that money was. But the public advocate, Jumaane Williams, was extremely quiet in that position. So my thing is, if you went after the police as vigorous as you have, you should be going after the mayor when he's spending that kind of money of ours, our tax dollars, and there's no accountability. You should be as vigorous about that as well. He hasn't been. He's been going along because he doesn't want to upset the apple cart. He's running for governor and doesn't want to make anybody angry that he can't go and get their support of, while the people in our community are suffering with the increases in gun and gang violence, the fact that our elders are being assaulted. I'm just dealing now, as you might have heard earlier, with an elder in our community who's being assaulted and no one is helping. So now we have the police dealing with that matter. This is what the public advocate is supposed to be: boots on the ground, out in the community, and working with everybody.
So Tony, how did you become so passionate about the community? I know you've been doing this for several years, but what was it like growing up? Like, what really inspired this inside of you?
I've been involved in community since I was 14 years old. I have been in organizational advocacy work as a member of the Lions Club International. They had a youth division. And I had a mentor who basically reached out and said to us in our community, we're not going to allow you guys to fall by the wayside. So I'm emulating that which he has put in me. You know, I mean, granted, yes, I come from a single parent household. I knew who my father was. He lived around the corner from me. He lived in a brownstone. I lived in a tenement and was fighting gentrification. Okay, unfortunately, we didn't have that relationship. But there are a lot of young people on this street who need individuals that would be able to reach out to them. And I'm that guy because I experienced what they've experienced. I've seen the gun violence. I've seen the drugs. I've seen the gangs and all that stuff. And I recognize how we can get away from that pitfall. So right now, my whole thing is, okay, if I've been able to do it at this level and not have the office of public advocate, can you only imagine if I had the office? And that's why I'm running right now, because the resources are plentiful. There's a way to make things happen, and people need that voice. And that's why I'm passionate about what I do, because I've been there and done it.
Yeah, the passion really comes across really well, even though we're not in person, we're just on Zoom, but I can tell.
and it's not to be construed with me being the angry black man. That's not what I am. I am a frustrated New Yorker. And I'm like everybody else. I'm middle class, those that are looking for a hand up, not a handout, and individuals like that. That's what I represent. I don't come from, a silver spoon kind of a background. My family and I know what it's like. We were the poster family for gentrification. We were moved out of 2 homes to the point where we were put on the street and wound up living in an abandoned building and became squatters for 8.5 months until I graduated high school. And you know what the problem was? I went to an elected official at the age of 17 and said, we need your help. That elected official, you know what she said to me? I can't help you. You need to go in a shelter. No grabbing me or being sensitive to the fact that here I am, a young teen with siblings and my mom who basically was working poor. She worked in the public school system as a school aide for 30 years before she passed of cancer. But at the end of the day, she stood strong and took care of her family, made sure we had a roof over our head, even if it meant that we had to go into an abandoned building. And I take all of that as lessons learned, that if my mom can do it, and then she can educate us on how to go out there and still be involved in the community and helping people, then I can do it too and be the quote unquote, the legacy of my family.
See, that's such a great story. It really is.
So almost everybody has that story.
What Jumaane has, though, he has some name recognition. So I want to know what we're doing to get your name out there to really secure more votes for this year.
Well, he has the name recognition because apparently he's given the impression he's doing the job. And naturally, when you have the power of incumbency, you're able to utilize that. But we've been on the ground and we've been on social media. We've been letting folks know that I'm that guy that for the last 10 years who has been out on the front lines. I forced Jumaane's hand to take a position on guns in our community, just like I've done with all the other elected officials. The key now is just getting people to donate so that we can get the messaging out, because it's sad that the Campaign Finance Board and the city of New York has made it running about money, when we know that corruption is associated closely, or should I say money is associated with corruption. Here it is, we're putting money out there again saying you can't get on the debate stage if you don't raise XYZ number of dollars. That's a problem for me, because I think the public needs to be able to hear from every candidate. So now I'm being, refuted and not putting in a position to be on the debate stage when I know Jumaane's not ready for me to debate him, because I can call him out on what he's not doing and clear up that smoke and mirrors thing that he's doing.
Right. So that's part of what I've been doing, Tony, with Schneps and PoliticsNY, is giving every single candidate a platform here. And through Schneps Media, we own all these different hyperlocal outlets. So this video will be, accessing those communities.
You know, I'm the endorsed candidate on the independent and the conservative line. I am a unification candidate. I'm not about the politics. I'm trying to bring everybody together because again, remember I said, public advocates should be nonpartisan. So it's my position to go out there and be able to go into every community and sit down with everybody and find out what their needs are so I can be that voice as their public advocate. That's the job. Not out here talking about who I'm going to endorse and go play power moves and then travel around the state giving the impression you're doing the business of our city when you're in actuality doing the business of yourself and your career. That's not me. And we seem to have a bunch of people that are in office right now that don't have anybody doing checks and balances on them. I'm that guy. I'm ready to do that. I'm ready to hold them all accountable and make them do their job.
Okay, well, good luck to you, Tony Herbert. It was a pleasure to have you on PoliticsNY with Skye Behind the Curtain.
Thank you so much, Skye. I appreciate it.